Hello, my name's Bond, Richard Bond, and this is Curmudgeonly Yours, a show on Society Bites Radio, part of the Radio Ear Network family, supplying social interaction for the mind and soul. The introductory and concluding music to this show is La Polonaise by Wieniawski, played by Max Bond. I am your host and curmudgeon, where everything is what it seems. Nothing is what it seems. And what is not said is often of most interest. Today, I will be speaking with Stephen Roberts, an author, keynote speaker, and media guest. This is Stephen's first appearance on the show. Hi, Stephen Roberts.
Hi, how are you, Richard?
Fine, thanks. It's good to have you on Curmudgeonly Yours on Society Bites Radio, part of the Radio Ear Network and broadcasting out of Sarasota, Florida. Stephen C. Roberts. Okay, Stephen Roberts arrived at college age. His sister was in a car wreck, and their parents paid her medical bills. Stephen had just a few $100s to his name, and he can remember being scared and panicked and not knowing what to do. After hundreds of hours of research, trying and failing, he was blessed to receive 35 scholarships and grants and getting more money than what college cost. When Stephen started working in industry, he found that coworkers were paying the equivalent of a second mortgage. This sparked a desire for Stephen to help others avoid the pains of student loans. Since that time, he has been a best-selling author in 5 categories, public speaker, and guest on over 600 radio stations and podcasts. Stephen Roberts graduated from Brigham Young University. He received 35 scholarships and grants, including 3 prestigious scholarships. He also worked as both a teaching assistant and research assistant during his undergraduate studies, which were worth more money than what tuition and books cost him. Very good, Stephen. Stephen later said, "I was not a perfect student, but if I had known then what I know now about paying for college, I would have saved even more on college and graduated very well off." Stephen lives near Ogden, Utah, and has a wonderful wife and children. He enjoys hiking, cooking, writing, and spending time with his wife and family. He thanks his many mentors and friends who've contributed to the success of the projects he has worked on. Stephen is both a keynote speaker and workshop facilitator. In 2016, Stephen was awarded the I.E.E.E. Distinguished Speaker Award and won Toastmaster's International Area Speech Contest with first place. So, Stephen Roberts, tell me about your 30,000 or 30K in 30 days challenge.
Okay, I'd be happy to, Richard. What I found out is I wanted to help people get a lot of cash and fast. Now, my challenge doesn't mean that you'll get $30,000 in 30 days necessarily. But what it can mean is that you can save yourself time over the life of a 4-year degree equivalently of $30,000 just by making some minor changes. And with this, I want to help parents and students actually understand a lot of resources that are available, a lot of resources that are left unclaimed, perhaps even unknown about to most people. A lot of high school or college counselors don't tell people. In fact, there are resources that people can use and claim that actually don't depend on your GPA at all. And so that's what's really great is I want to help people understand that you don't have to go massively in debt or pay the equivalent as a second mortgage, as you said, Richard. Just I want them to understand that there are better, faster, and cheaper ways to pay for college. And so what this 30K and 30-day challenge is that if you'll go through and for every 30 days, take the time to take action on each of the steps each and every day, I will help you have success in being able to find money. Now, I can't guarantee you'll get any specific amount, but I can challenge you and help you with best practices that have helped many other people be able to get money for college, even students who didn't think there was anything for them. And if people who might be interested in this, they can go find this out at my website at findingcollegecash.com/challenge.
And then you have a book as well, too, on that, right?
I do. Yeah, the book is, oddly enough, called Finding College Cash. Real creative in terms of Dave. But
that's good.
More so is I want people. Oh, go ahead.
No, I just want to say I like your message. It's very direct. And you got the same phrase, so you're doing that right. That's very good. Stephen, why do you say that student loans can be worse than borrowing from a loan shark?
Okay. Well, first and foremost is that student loan lenders, they have powers that most lenders don't have. And what I mean by that is without getting a judgment, without filing any type of lawsuit or anything along those lines, lenders can do things like garnish your wages, take
Mm,
your social security, or being able to go to your employer and take any bonuses that you might get at like your Christmas or annual bonuses. In
yeah, which
addition, they can actually change the terms of your loan if you fall into default, or just they'll offer you what's called a forbearance, meaning they'll extend the time, but it'll
right,
take you longer and pay more money. And they can do
sure,
all these things without any three problems. And that's what's amazing is that student loan lenders, most of the time, they're considered what is considered unforgivable. That doesn't mean that you won't go to heaven if you get a
mm,
student loan. What it means is that if you declare bankruptcy, in most cases, you won't be able to get out of having a student loan. So if you get sick, or if you can't find a job, or if something happens in life after you graduate or after you finish college, what unfortunately happens is that people won't be able to get out of their student loans in bankruptcy even. Now, if you think about this, like with a house, if you fall
yeah,
into bankruptcy or into foreclosure, you give the house back, and a lot of times the debt is taken away as well, or at least
yeah,
most of it.
sure,
It doesn't
sure.
happen that way with student loans, both federal and private.
You
The
know,
debt still remains even in bankruptcy.
wow. Well, this is amazing to me because I remember when the student loans first came out. I'm old enough to remember that, and they were it was like a joke at first. You didn't have to, or pay them back if you didn't want to. But I remember borrowing a little bit, and I didn't take much. But well, what can people do now to succeed with virtual college and maybe reduce the amount they have to borrow?
That's a really good question because a lot of schools, both say middle school, high school, and college, have converted to a virtual model.
Mm,
And a lot of times, because this is new, a lot of people are just going, okay, how do I actually succeed at this? Well, the good news is that I actually took some classes online, and
mm,
I found some tips that will help a lot of people. So the very first thing I would tell people is to set a tentative schedule for both your classes and for your homework. And what I mean by this is if you'll take the time to, like, if you were to go into a real class, a physical class, you'd have, like, say, 9 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you'd go to class. Well,
hmm
you can set that up for yourself virtually and go, okay, I'm going to go to class, assuming that they let you pick your schedule on these times. You're going to set
hmm
yourself a tentative schedule and go, okay, I'm going to go do this class at 9 a.m. I'm going to do this other class at 10 a.m. And then I'm going
hmm
to take a break for 2 hours and work on homework. And then I'm going to take my third class.
hmm
That's what I mean, is be able to create yourself a tentative schedule because this will help you stay structured and not have to cram everything all in at the last bit of the semester. The next thing that
Sure.
I would suggest is a virtual class can actually be one of the best assets in terms of your time. And what I mean is you can literally do it anywhere. If you've got a
Sure.
long line at the bank, you can pull up your mobile phone and perhaps read a few pages out of your textbook, or perhaps go listen to a video or something, of course, with headphones, depending upon the setting. But you can take advantage of your waiting time. So if you're waiting for a friend, waiting to get picked up by your parents,
hmm
waiting at a time when you had something that was scheduled that opened up because it got canceled, you can go to class. And that's
Yeah.
great because you can actually go faster. The next
Sure.
thing to do is just because you're doing a virtual setting, you don't have to consider yourself doing this all alone. You
Mm,
actually have the ability to reach out to the professor, the teacher, or the teaching aides and be able to go, I don't understand this. Could you explain this to me? Or I'm having some difficulty. Could you help me? And
hmm
teachers and teachers' aides, they are be glad to help you. That's what they're there for. That's what they want to do. And for them, they kind of miss the face-to-face interaction. And so if you can say, hi, get on Skype or Zoom and go, hey, could you meet with me? And they would be glad to actually meet with our students. So please
Well,
don't think that you have to do this alone. You want to
I
say something, Richard?
no, I just want to say that I'm glad you're telling me this. I'm going to tell my son because he's he's doing virtual college from his college in Iowa. Grinnell, so he's got to do it virtually, and these are some good tips for him. Tell me about the three types of scholarships and how they can help you.
Okay, well, great. I'd be glad to. Is three types of scholarships are something that I noticed actually in my research that as I was trying to actually figure out what scholarships apply to me. And a lot of times people will kind of go, oh, scholarships are only for blank type of people. You know,
Okay,
the rich kids, poor kids, sports head jocks, the
right.
people who are in student council, cultural majors, debate kids. And so they make this long list of people that can have scholarships. And unfortunately, what that tells me though is people are looking at the wrong places for scholarships that can work for them. So there are
Okay,
three types of scholarships, and any listener out there, please pay attention to these three because they'll come really important.
okay,
Is they'll help you not only find scholarships, but they'll help you in determining what the judge wants. The first is a background-based scholarship. This is
hmm,
something that is like your religion, your heritage, your family history, any type of life experiences, illnesses that may have happened to you or your family, those types of things. A background-based scholarship is generally not something that you've done. It's something that you were born into or had happen to you. And there
oh,
are literally tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of these types of scholarships. And
are
if you
they,
break it down even further by type, they can. There are millions of dollars, billions of dollars available in this type. The second type of scholarship is a project based scholarship. This would be something like doing service or writing an essay or doing a sculpture as an artist or taking a photo as a photographer.
hmm,
Those types of things are do something to get something. It's a project based scholarship. Usually they have a specific time duration of it'll take you about 10 hours or so. But if you'll do it, then you can apply for project based scholarships. And what's great is project based scholarships don't necessarily depend on your GPA or other factors. They just want to know can you do the
yeah,
project? So if you like to make videos, go do that as a
hmm,
project based scholarship.
got it.
Type is merit-based scholarship. Now,
Okay.
it's somewhat similar to a project scholarship, except for they are more competitive and they take longer. For example, I've never met anyone who's never played the piano before who could sit down at the piano and play a beautiful and complex piece and win a piano recital competition. Generally, it
No,
takes
yeah,
that level where you can play a beautiful, complex piece. And this is why merit scholarships are competitive and they take longer, is because it takes years of it. Now, the same thing goes with a GPA. Now, granted, you can not be in high school or not be in college and then suddenly take a semester and voila, you have a GPA. I get
yeah,
that. But it's why it's called a grade point average, is it's the cumulative effect of your study and effort over time. So
sure.
if it to maintain a high GPA, it takes a lot of work. And that's a merit-based scholarship. And my favorite one of this example is there was actually a young man who raised a cow and later auctioned it off for a charity auction for scholarship, and he won $250,000 because he raised a great show cow. And that's why that's funny to me.
250,000, that's a hell of a lot of money.
Is a lot of money, but he had the best cow. It took him 3 years of hard work to get up and feed the cow and make certain that it was getting all of its nutrients and be sort of more competitive than just regular raising regular livestock. Instead, he had to make certain that everything about that cow was pristine, that it was
Well,
manicured right, that it was brushed and groomed, those types of things.
that's a great story. So just to resume, the three types of scholarships are background, project, and merit scholarship. Stephen,
Yeah.
you have another, you bring something else up. I don't think everybody should go to college. And maybe you could tell us, when should people not go to college?